Thank you, everyone. It's a privilege to be here today. And I thought before I give you an overview of Sasol and its offerings, it's important to describe what it's like to do business in the fuel retailing sector. And to describe that, I'd like to say that it's like navigating a high-performance vehicle on a racetrack. You know, it's fast-paced, you have to anticipate the sharp turns, and you have your competitors right next to you also vying for the same positions and targeting the same consumers. But we all know it's not just about speed, it's also about precision, having the right strategy in place, being adaptable, and the winning formula is also to be able to anticipate those curves and those turns that come in and be prepared for it. And I think that's what I'm going to take you through today in terms of how Sasol is driving that forward. Okay, so just a little bit about Sasol. It is a global international company, but it's also homegrown. It's a proudly South African company. We have a multi-billion dollar revenue stream. We've got thousands of individuals who are blue-blooded as well. And we operate in multiple countries with over 20 product streams. And I'm not sure if many of you know this, but with our chemicals business, many of your everyday products are also have Sasol components in it, whether it's your toothpaste or your shampoo. And I'm sure at some later stage today, you'll get to know more about that as well. Taking you through our retail network, we currently have 400 sites, and we are predominantly in the inland area with some sites on our coastal areas as well. Our operating model, I'll also take you through that later on in the presentation. But to show you how far we've come from to get to our 400 sites, I'd like to take you through this journey of our key milestones within retail. So Sasol was established in 1950, so we are over 74 years old. It is a strong brand, a heritage brand for this country, and I think we are proud to be associated with it. But also noting that before we could have our own fuel stations, there was an agreement or regulation that prohibited Sasol from being a manufacturer as well as a retailer. So Sasol had agreements where there was one blue pump, believe it or not, at our competitor fuel stations, just because of that regulation that was in place. So we weren't able to own it. But that changed, and in 1998, Sasol gave notice to the government regarding that blue pump agreement. And in 2002, Sasol then partnered with Excel to, again, enter the retail fuel market. And I think we were the last major entrant from the top 6 competitors in this industry. And to show that we have grown from a small number, I think initially there were 90 sites that had converted within a space of 3 to 6 months, and to now have 400 sites is a huge achievement. But also noting that there's a lot that has happened along the way. In 2003, Sasol Delight came into the picture, which is our convenience brand. And I'll take you through later on today in terms of our exciting offerings in that space. I thought it was also pertinent to add that in 2009, Sasol also invested in our fuels application center in Cape Town. That's where the fuel is tested by the best in the industry, and I think that's what makes our fuel superior to others. In 2013, there was a lot happening there with our partnership with ABSA, Burger King, and the introduction of 10 ppm diesel, which is still the cleanest diesel in the country. We then started our revamp project, noting that we were the last entrants into the retail market. We started revamping our stores again to make sure that they were meeting the expectations of our customers. And in 2019, we had also worked on an entire new concept to take us forward into the future, where we not only serve our customers of today, but for tomorrow as well. And unfortunately, 2020, we all know we were hit with a pandemic, so we weren't able to continue with that. But we began again in 2021, and I'm excited to say that from 2023, our first concept store was a reality. And that's gate 1. I will share with you a video and pictures later on as well. But moving back just to 2022, I think there's important milestones to note here as well. We partnered with Seattle coffee. We also launched our own Sasol Rewards program, and we also upgraded our Delight brand logo, again, to meet the expectations of our customers. So going over our value proposition, there are multiple components when we're looking at how our customers want to be treated in terms of the customer experience, what are the types of offerings they would like. And I think we have researched that, we've looked at that in detail, and this is what we have in terms of that value proposition, with, again, the customer always being central to all of our decision making. And I think the word community is going to come up a lot in the presentation, because I feel like Sasol has embedded themselves in the communities where our fuel stations are situated. And so much so that we launched the Friendly Neighbor concept, where we encourage retailers to invest in their communities, and Sasol then matches them to a certain amount. So I think that is uplifting for the communities as well, where the retail stations are situated. And also noting our quality products, as I've mentioned, the 10 ppm diesel. We also have a great fleet system with our Fuel Easy program, and again, our Sasol Delight. But coming into our customer experience again, noting we're proudly South African, we have our new service station design, and we've got a great program regarding customer service called our Step Up program. So all in all, I think one other point that often people miss is that in our convenience stores, we prepare food every day. And as part of that customer experience, we have a strong sense of safety. As you would note, we started off the session with a safety moment, and food safety again becomes key in terms of all of our sites being compliant to that. And we've partnered with Assure Cloud to make sure that our sites are compliant, again, for that great customer experience. And as I mentioned earlier on, to be on a winning path, you have to be able to predict what's going to happen. You have to have that strategy, the precision, and the adaptability. And I think Sasol has proven that with winning the Ask Africa Consumer Award for 3 years in a row. And I think our fuel retail team deserve a round of applause for that. It just showcases that they've taken the step forward in terms of getting that customer experience standards really high. And not only in customer experience, we've also won awards in terms of the best newcomer in loyalty. We've won an Ubuntu Economic Diplomacy Award, which is global. We've also won awards with the Standard Bank Empowerment, Women's Empowerment, as well as Sponsor of the Year. And coming into our actual offering, food and beverage is a huge focus and is the heart of our offering. So I want to take time to take you through our coffee. Coffee as a category has been growing, I think, exponentially over the last few years, and the growth is above inflation. So that just tells you that there's a rise in the coffee culture, especially with the youth of today, as well as our consumers who are getting a more sophisticated palate. They want a better coffee, they want a better offering, and they want the coffee experience, which is the coffee culture. And what we've seen by bringing in these two strong brands, which are the two options that we have for our retail network, is that there is an uptake in fuel sales as well as our convenience sales. So there is that benefit that comes in with having these strong brands in our stores. And as you can see, our Sasol Delight is also have the South African elements on it in terms of our packaging. And here as well, we are looking at moving into private label. The team has spent a lot of time in terms of researching the right product with the right packaging. And I think it looks phenomenal in terms of, again, that standard of excellence that each and every person, I think when you saw the value proposition as well, each and every person that works at Sasol, I think they take great pride in what they do. And you can see it as we go through the presentation in terms of the level that they think through things. And this has been done with a lot of thought in terms of consumer trends, preferences, the packaging, the price point. So it is testament to the offering. And we also have our 5-liter water. We know with the water crisis currently in the country that there is a need for it. So in order to, I think, have a complete food experience, we not just have our heritage meals, which are again at the heart of every home in the country. We have a range of mkhodu, dombolo, your chicken feet, and it's segmented focus in terms of what our consumers want within the network of stores. The South African market is quite diverse, with LSM profiles being mixed and varying in terms of the different areas. And it's interesting to note that our best-selling store for these heritage meals is in Sandton. So there's often a misconception about that, but I think it was, again, important to make that comparison and to highlight that. But when the food team also launches a product, it's not just that product that is launched. Our retailers also have support in terms of staff training on site so that you can understand that the quality and standards and consistency for that customer experience is met. We also have the complimentary beverages as well as the sides that go with a meal. And we know, I heard recently on the radio that there was something called 7-color Sundays, and I think that, again, we meet that requirement with the sides that we have in place and food-compliant packaging. But again, food safety is still important throughout this process. So as we all know, we're living in the digital world. I think Donnie mentioned earlier how we're transforming and evolving. And similarly, the world is more digital as we speak. So Sasol has also been on that journey to make sure that we are on the same trajectory. So we have a digital food solution, as I mentioned, which is Fuel Easy. I think my colleague will go into detail on that offering later on today. We have our fantastic rewards app that I think Keo mentioned earlier today. And again, that's bringing in what our customers wanted, and that was launched this year. Taking us through in terms of our retailers and bringing in the digital components for maintenance. Maintenance is a key component for making sure, again, that we have the standards and the high standard of excellence that we need our stores to look and feel. And with that being said, everything is now digitized with the newly launched OnKey platform that retailers can log their calls. Everything's going to be tracked digitally. We also have last mile delivery, which again, as I mentioned, we're moving into a digital world. So last mile delivery actually helps us to take our offering to the online audience, which is growing day by day. And I think that's a strong value proposition to have, as it's also an additional value stream for the retailers. In terms of staff training, I think we've mentioned that, again, customer experience, customer service with the Step Up program that we have is important. But the retail team have also introduced a digital learning platform for the frontline staff, your forecourt attendants, the bakery staff, your cashiers, your merchandisers. Everyone is trained on this. And the team have also reached a milestone where 1 million modules have been completed to date. So I think that's a phenomenal milestone to achieve. And I think this is a big one. Oh, sorry. This is our service station modernization, our new service station design. So while we were developing that concept, and I overheard also a colleague earlier on today said, it's always great when a thought becomes a reality. And I think this was one of the visions that became a reality. And with the process and the journey we took to get it into execution, we also had a lot of customer engagement. And this is one of the comments when a consumer read it. I mean, when we presented it to a consumer, to say that if this was a real design, it will shake up the space. It's fantastic, and the design is customer-centric. And I think that from the feedback we're receiving now from those sites that have been executed, our developers love it, our consumers love it, and our retailers love it. So these are some of the golden threads that we had to pull through again to make this service station what it is today. And I mentioned earlier on that that sense of community is quite strong within the Sasol brand. And to bring that through, we've also incorporated seating areas, not only inside the store, but outside the store. And from listening to our retailers give us feedback on that space, it's become a common meeting place for many people during the day, in the mornings, and it is a gathering space for the community to meet. And I think that's great that we've hit the mark on that. We've also made sure that the design is multi-generational, that it appeals not just for customers of today, but tomorrow, as I mentioned earlier. It's also modular. As I mentioned, we live in a diverse country. So we know that in different areas, we have to make adjustments where necessary, and that's where the modular component comes in. Being employee-centric, we've taken into account our frontline staff and the amenities that they require, which have also been incorporated to make sure that they have a comfortable experience. And then there's the element of proudly South African, which you'll see the sculptures that we've brought in that speak to the specific areas. And, they contribute in terms of the local community, and there's meaning to these sculptures that are put at the stores to bring in that South Africanism while also, again, contributing to local artists. So while you've seen the video, it's always great to see the actual reality of what we've put out. So you see, this is the design that we have at our first site, Sasol Gate 1 in Secunda. This is the external area. This is our storefront, our updated storefront. And this is the sculpture I mentioned, the seating area as well.
Testing.
And again, part of the customer experience is
Testing.
the toilet or the ablution facilities. And we've made sure that they were updated to, again, meet the standard of excellence that we have. So to go into franchising, I've also noted our operating model, and a number of questions that we are often asked is, can I franchise the coffee? Can I franchise the car wash separately? But in the Sasol network, how it works is that there's a single franchisee that will operate all these amenities, all these value-added services, from the coffee to the car wash to the convenience store, as well as the forecourt. And this is done intentionally to, again, avoid conflict where there's disputes on potential parking spaces, on staff facilities, utility cost. So this is where it's a full package for a potential retailer. The only one that's completely optional is the QSR. If it's not internal to the store and there's land available on the property, it may have a different operator. And my colleague Cindy will take you through more of the models that we have. There are different types, again, to meet the different investment opportunities. So typically, we know that franchising is about going into a proven business model, because I think we're also passionate about this brand. We made sure earlier that they mentioned our blood is blue, and we want to see that coming through as well from our retailers. They're hands-on, they have the entrepreneurial spirit. We're looking at the employee value proposition, the experience, the people. And on this infinity symbol, you'll see that there's different components where we provide support. But I think even though it's on either side, it's integrated in terms of the entrepreneurial mindset is not just for the franchisee, it's also for the franchisor. We also have to think that way in order to develop these strong value propositions and to execute it and to deliver it for you. So in order to avoid the perspiration, you can start the Sasol initiation. I think that being part of the Sasol network has a special hiss, where it's just so special being a part of this brand. And the symbol is also a sign of loyalty and a sense of belonging. And that's how we have that relationship with our retailers. So thank you.